2024. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The residents are to sign in who wish to speak during citizens' request. Speakers are allotted 3 minutes to present their initial comments. All meetings will be recorded auditorially and visually. Roll call, please, Ms. Wertz.
Ms. Cook?
Here.
Mrs. DePew?
Here.
Mrs. Eicher?
Here.
Mr. Lucetti?
Here.
Mrs. Thomas?
Here.
Mr. Soborowski?
Here.
Mr. Veek?
Here.
Mayor Nowak?
Here.
Mr. Furman?
Here.
And Mr. Westman?
Here.
All present. All right, thank you, Mr. Beef, on line. And before we start the meeting, before we start public comment this evening, I wanted to advise the public, as well as those members present from the Whitehall Volunteer Fire Company, that the $42,000 allocated to the Whitehall Volunteer Fire Company in the 2024 budget to support their efforts to maintain proper daytime staffing will be released to the Volunteer Fire Department in May of 2024. On behalf of council, I want to thank the company for providing their fire protection for all the residents of the borough for all these decades. I want to make sure you folks knew that right off the bat. Thank you. Okay, now it's time for citizens' requests. Mr. Hal Plusa, please stand and state your name and address.
I'm Hal Plusa, I live at 4647 Doverdale Drive. Driving around the community over the last couple of years, I've noticed a lot of improvement projects going on the part of homeowners overall. I'm talking about putting in swimming pools, patios, decks, new porches, things along that line. I'm going to presume that the code enforcement office has been doing due diligence in ensuring that all these renovations are being properly permitted and also that they're being done in accordance with code. Now, I also recognize that we've had an increase this year in the amount of our property tax for the borough of Whitehall. What I learned earlier this week is that Allegheny County has been not doing anything with any of these permits overall to ensure that the values of the properties have been adjusted appropriately. I'd like to know if members of Borough Council and the management of the community are aware of this, and if this is true.
When we say Allegheny County, I guess let me back up. I can tell you that the school district regularly requests building permits, I believe, for their own
Yes.
reassessment
Well,
purposes.
now, my knowledge is that the building permits have to go to Allegheny County as well, because,
That's not my area of expertise.
They
That's-
do on a monthly basis.
okay,
Yes,
what I'm
they do.
saying is, from what I understand, for the last 3 years, Allegheny County has done nothing with these permits overall. As a result, my presumption is that the values of the properties that have been approved in Allegheny County and including the borough of Whitehall have not been revised appropriately. As a result, people that have made these improvements are not being taxed properly or fairly overall. Now, I don't know if the amount of improvements and resulting assessed values on the properties in the borough of Whitehall would have affected the increase in the taxes for this year or not. But the point is, number one, are you folks up there aware if in fact it is true that the Allegheny County has not done anything? To me, that sounds like a gross dereliction of duty, to put it quite bluntly. And the impact is on homeowners like me and most of the people probably here tonight.
Well, of course, right, the assessment process in Allegheny County function.
Yes.
This is the first I'm hearing of what you're saying. I can certainly investigate and see what.
I would appreciate that very much.
But certainly, again, it
like I
falls
say-
on the county to do these things.
Yeah, my understanding is they're just stacking them up in a proverbial box, probably with the amount of paperwork, it's probably more of a dumpster size, considering the size of Allegheny County. But the end result is you know, for a simple homeowner like me, you know, it's, you know, it's, you know, a reasonable amount of money. But then on the other side of the coin, if you're looking at a major building in downtown Pittsburgh or one of the suburbs overall, there could be considerable amount of dollar value involved. And, you know, people like us in here, we're making up the difference to some extent overall. And, you know, I question why, if in fact Allegheny County is showing this dereliction of duty, why they're allowed to get away with it, I guess is the best way of describing it. And I would
It's
appreciate
been a
it,
while
Mr. Furman,
since I've
if
been
you
on
would look
plan-
into that.
It's been a while since I've been on a planning and zoning committee, so I'm not sure I have everything correct, but I think we have to send plans for schools additions to the county to have the plans approved to make sure they meet the zoning here. I don't think they go to the assessment board at all.
And I think that's what Hal's suggesting. He's suggesting that, I think this is right? If you do an improvement and it's valued at X amount of money, then your value of your house should go up by X amount, is that what you said?
X or Y, but it should.
Yeah, it should go up, and that,
Exactly.
and then the tax burden is spread, among the taxpayers.
Right.
Based on
different-
You need to talk to your county council person.
Well, I'm
Seriously.
trying to, right now, I just learned about this 2 days ago, so excuse me. And I'm just inquiring right now whether this august body here is aware of that overall, because it directly impacts on the budgets that you form at the end of every year for the upcoming year. In other words, if you're not getting a fair market value on the property taxes coming in to the Borough of Whitehall, the end result is you have to obviously increase if you have an increase in your budget. In other words, somebody puts $100,000 into their home and it's not reflected, and you have to increase taxes in a very small way. I'm paying for part of that improvement on that home.
Yeah, I don't know how that it affects our, budgeting and raising of taxes. I think it works like this one. When we adopt a budget, we have to raise the money to meet the budget,
Yes,
right?
I understand.
Okay, so we get the assessment and then we figure out the millage.
Yes.
Right, okay. Now, if what you're proposing is that individual, homeowners, get, would get their values raised so that they would pay more taxes than someone who's not improving on their house, it doesn't change what we do here. It just
I'm
means
not
that
implying that.
you might pay less because somebody else is paying more because their value has gone up. So.
Their value, what I'm saying is, if they make an improvement to their home overall, and all the documentation is being handled properly by code enforcement going forward to Allegheny County, that's gonna result in a change in assessed value.
No.
As,
There are two different departments in the county. So the two departments don't talk to one another.
okay, going back approximately 10 years ago, my wife and I made improvements to our home overall by putting on an addition and putting on a new deck. The end result was the assessed value of our property increased. We contested that because of the amount of the increase of the assessed value of our property. We went to that expense, both in time and hiring somebody to give us legal advice along that line. The end result was the assessed value of our property was decreased. It still showed an increase overall, but it basically reflected what we had done to our home. In other words, we did all the proper permitting through code enforcement and wherever the paperwork went from there. That resulted in an increase in the assessed value of our property. This is not taking place from what I've been told over the last 3 years on the part of Allegheny County.
How
So these homes in Whitehall that have made improvements over the last 3 years, if what I've been told is correct, the assessed values of their property have not changed as a result of the improvements on their homes.
Okay, that's something that, or you said you
I don't,
couldn't.
yeah, I can go to the assessment office, I
Okay.
don't know.
I'd
All
like,
right.
Hal, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I don't know if you know this answer. Do you recall who initiated that assessment a few years ago when you did your improvements to your house?
everything was handled through the code enforcement office.
No, I mean
Yes.
from the county assessment, like when they appealed your assessed value, or, you know, who said that it didn't.
Okay, we received word, from Allegheny County as well as from the school, and it was apparently, the school district was involved as well
Yes.
as a part of that.
And I will say generally, just as someone who handles the right to know request, the school districts generally initiate these assessment appeals when because they request, fairly regularly, I don't know if it's monthly, the, building permits from us here at the borough.
Right.
And then based on those, it is my understanding that they then go to the county and initiate those assessment appeals.
Right, and apparently my understanding is that Allegheny County is doing Jack, I won't say the other four-letter word after that, as a result of all this paperwork going forward. It's sitting in somebody's closet or in somebody's basement or whatever.
Yeah,
Overall.
it's being mostly driven by school districts, I will say that, but.
Okay, but once again, whether it's the school district or the borough or whoever is sending the paperwork forward to Allegheny County, once again, is showing negligence or dereliction of duty.
Okay. Thanks, Al, we're gonna make sure that, like the solicitor said, he'll research that.
Thank you.
What's that? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Before, excuse me, I started the meeting, I wanted to let everyone know we had executive session at 6 p.m. this evening before the meeting to discuss, possible litigation and personnel. And also on February 9th, had a, executive session to discuss personnel matters. Okay? And next on our list, public comment. Stephanie, Gagnon, please stand and state your name and address.
Yes, Stephanie Gahn, 111 Felix Drive. Okay, so I would like to know what is on the purge list for the documents that will be purged. The last time I came here 2 weeks ago, the council minimized that it would be just full blueprints. Apparently, I looked at the agenda for today, and it doesn't seem like that's quite it. So I would like to see the purge list, please.
Okay, so we
I
have.
did try to go to the borough building here and waited over an hour today because no one could even tell me. Not only could they not take care of me, but there would be nobody to take care of me and let me wait for over an hour when I did come here to request it. So this is public information, you're voting on it tonight. I would like to know, and I sent those, by the way, I sent those that I could in
Okay.
email. The rest of you I couldn't send because it's not even possible. I don't have, it's not on the borough website.
Yeah,
That
we
I talked to the council months ago about, okay?
We do have that list for you now. Go
Okay,
ahead.
excellent. So,
Okay,
yeah, this, I can see already, this is far more than what you all claimed it to be last week.
well, it's the same thing we claimed, it's just that it's all falls under purview, that it's old enough and it can be purged, and if there's something that someone needs, we can also get to them. The
Yeah,
documents.
and this is very recent, and the way you described it last time was that, oh, you know, back from the 1900s and early 2000s, there's stuff here. I mean, I don't know the legitimacy. This is a lot here, okay? And my concern is, number one, not just for myself, but the rest of the citizens of Whitehall should know before this is voted on, what is in the purge list?
It was on the public display.
Okay, where's the public display?
Okay, so-
Individuals come to the borough office after it's on public display.
Okay, and I did that, and I could not, despite waiting over an hour, I could not get one administrative person to do that for me. So that's why I have to ask now.
Well,
Do
we
you see my
had to go
frustration?
minimal because we have some sick
some
individuals that
sick
are off work
individuals.
today.
Yeah,
So-
I
So-
understand that,
Yes.
but there should be protocol. This is borough public hours,
Yes, it
which
is.
are very limited to begin with. I rushed from work to even try, you know, there's a lot of excuses. And I
Yeah,
won't even go
just a
into
fact,
the
not
number
excuse.
of things that's happened to me in the last few years.
well,
I'm still keeping
okay.
that, I'm still keeping that mostly to myself
Okay.
and the borough for now.
okay.
Please, I'm begging the borough, please stop disrespecting me and my husband,
Okay,
okay?
I don't think
And
anyone's
I
ever
see
done that,
here,
but there is
I
the
see
purge
here
list you
a lot
asked
of
for.
sanitary sewer, okay, yeah. All I can say is I sent an email requesting all of the history for Felix Drive work, for the sewer, any kind of sewer. Do not purge anything for Felix Drive. Do not, because our issue is not resolved yet. Okay, I've never been so disrespected.
You have 1 minute remaining with the initial comments.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you showed how that amount of respect too, right?
It's for the initial.
I'm continuously
it's for
again
your
being
initial comment.
disrespected. You know what? Seriously.
Okay.
I see there's a lot on this list. Would somebody else like to see it? Because it's a lot.
Wait, we can tell you that there is a law that addresses when documents can be purged, and all of these documents that are being purged comply with that law.
Yeah, this is a lot of sanitary, I'm sure the people of Doverdale would really like to know this. Oh, yeah, you know what?
The sewers have been
I'm
purged.
sorry, I'm trying to be as calm and diplomatic as I can. And you know what, this list here, you guys gotta stop minimizing it. And you know what? The corruption is real. I can't. Somebody else wanna see this? I can't anymore. I suggest everybody looks at this.
I don't understand what it is.
It's a purge list.
Purge list of
They're
information.
voting tonight to purge a whole bunch of records, but they don't wanna tell everybody. I'm done. I can't
We're not
tonight.
gonna engage.
Please, I don't wanna come back here and be like this ever again. I won't even go into the flooding problems that we've had. I've been disrespected too many times. I've been very polite for years, and this is what I've got.
So that's all
No
for our public
email,
comments.
you can't even call or email anyone.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on with the rest of our meeting. Okay, we have, approval.
Ms. Wilson, before we move to that, I would just like the public to know that there is no bill list or payroll ratification on this evening's agenda, as I'm sure many of you noticed. And that is simply due to the fact that, we currently do not have a finance director, so Alyssa and myself have been taking on these duties, and we were unable to complete the list in time for the agenda posting 24 hours ago. So rest assured, bills and payroll will be processed, but you will see it on the next meeting agenda as a ratification. So it's simply an administrative timeline. But I wanted to just clarify
Yes,
that.
thank you,
You're
Courtney,
welcome.
appreciate that. Now, I'm gonna go for the approval of the minutes for our last meeting on February 7, 2024.
I'll move that the minutes be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion's votes unanimous. Okay, so now we have a report from Mayor Noah.
Thank you, Madam President. First item I have is the January animal control report. Police Department received 29 animal complaints for the month of January. 22 complaints were referred to Southfield Animal Control, which represents an 8.33% system usage. Calls related to white-tailed deer include 2 reported accidents involving wildlife, 5 animal complaints, and 10 deer removal from the borough for a total of 17. South Hills Animal Control removed 97 deer from Whitehall Borough in 2023. This brings the grand total to 846 since 2011. Unfortunately, Chief sent me the statistics, and I left the office to try to get to this, to our meeting tonight. without bringing it with me, but basically, I'll try to have it for the next meeting. There were, last year, I think it was 90 deer were taken out. So we had 7 more deer this year, I believe, than last year. Whereas Bethel Park had fewer deer. Am I right about that, Chief?
I don't know the exact numbers for Bethel.
Okay. Well, the numbers that I looked at. So the point that I'm making here is that we still continue to have the worst deer control problem of any South Hills community. Last year, we did the comparisons based on deer taken out per square mile, and although Bethel Park had more deer taken out of Bethel Park per square mile, we were far and away had the worst problem. And this year, our numbers are up from last year, and conversely, Bethel Parks are down slightly. All right, for the 2022-2024 year, suburban wildlife archers harvested 13 deer from approved hunting locations. This is 9 less than the previous year. High population density and minimal areas feasible for archery hunting greatly limits the effectiveness of the archery deer management program. Abundant vegetation among neighborhood homes continues to pull deer into areas that are not suitable for archery hunting. And continued road and utility work along the Wayman corridor may also have changed the natural routes for deer during the season. So that may explain why there were 9 fewer deer taken in this year's deer management. There were no resident complaints related to the archery program, and suburban wildlife reported no incidents of hunters being harassed in any way by the public. Training. Officer Cease attended quarterly accident reconstruction training with the Shaycog accident team. Investigator Newbold and Officer Meyer attended a 16-hour course for investigations that involved cellular phone technology. Sergeant Mayburn attended a 40-hour defense tactics instructor course to assist with department in-service training. Chief reports that the police department received National Incident-Based Report System certification from the Pennsylvania State Police on February 8, 2024, and this would not have been possible without the hard work and dedication of our police administrative assistant, Jessica Morgan. Chief, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
Yes. Right now, we report crime to the state police on a monthly basis. It's called the Uniform Crime Reporting System. The National Incident Base, which they call NIRS, is a new way of doing it. The UCR reports that we send in, we report the highest offense that occurs in one crime incident. With the National Incident Reporting, we now can report up to 10 offenses. And what that simply means is you could have an ex-girlfriend that breaks into her ex-boyfriend's house and assaults her, and on the way out, she takes a toaster. Well, under uniform crime reports, we would report it as a burglary because she broke in a house to commit another crime. That's a felony. Under national incident-based reporting, we would report the burglary as a felony, we would report the assault probably as a misdemeanor, and the theft of the toaster would be a summary. It helps us paint a better picture for the police department and also the community to give them a better idea of what's going on. Now, one of the consequences that happens out of this is people think that the crime rates are suddenly skyrocketing. That's not the case. The only thing we're doing is we're just doing a more accurate and better crime report than what the previous generation of uniform crime reports allowed us to do. This is a very important thing for us to do because sooner or later the federal government will tie grants with your NIBRS data. So if we don't make the transition and we stay under uniform crime reporting, when it comes time for us to apply for grants for whether it's something for transportation, if it's to hire more police officers, if it's to buy new equipment, if we're not doing this new standard, we're not going to be eligible for it. I'm very proud of our accomplishment. because today, we are only one of 25 police agencies within Allegheny County that's been able to do this. And we're one of 186 across the state that's been able to do this. But I just wanted to let everybody know that, you know, when you start seeing this data showing up, probably in April and May, if it looks like we spiked in crime, we don't have a crime wave going through it, we were just better reported.
Thanks for that clarification.
All right, next up, Comcast completed the installation of the new high-speed fiber optic connection this morning. All phone lines are operating on the new connection. Next week, DEP Technologies will begin moving the police computer network over to fiber, followed by the Borough Administration network. Chief, do you want anything you want to add to that?
I would say that we're still probably a good 2 weeks out before we're fully operating on the fiber network. The police department has 3 separate networks. It's a part of our overall operation downstairs. That's why we're starting with the police department first. We have to time one of the networks, the moves with the Pennsylvania State Police Clean Network, because we have a dedicated terminal downstairs that goes to Harrisburg so we can get criminal history information, driver's license information. Once the police department is stable and it's working the way it's supposed to work, then they're gonna move up to the admin level and move that network over. During this process, we discovered that one of the firewalls upstairs is on the admin level is near the end of its service life. So, manager made the correct decision, we're gonna put a new firewall in, they have to reconfigure that. That takes a little bit of time, so I'm optimistic within 2 more weeks, we're gonna be completely done. We thought we were gonna be done last week with the phone. The police department didn't experience a disruption last week with the phone. It ended up being the admin for 4 hours. Today was the police department, and we were down for 35 minutes. So, it's working. It's just taking a little bit to get this through.
No incidents, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. I think the fire company has a report. The President and Secretary here
Sure.
from the fire company.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I begin, thank you, council, for getting us the funding. Just to share with you, so far this year, we have had 131 calls since December 1st. That's when we start our year. Since I was up here last meeting, we've had 65 calls. 40% of them have been during these daylight hours when we have this coverage for that. So we're fortunate to get people out on this. Some calls of significance that I'll share with you. On January 27th at Whitehall Place, we had an air fryer fire that was caused by an overheated electrical circuit. This does not seem to be intentional, but the person left it on. And what we can advise Borough residents is to unplug appliances you're not using, because they didn't realize they bumped it. It heated up the air fryer and it started their apartment on fire. Call on the 31st, and some may have heard this. We did have a call at our fire station up here at 51. We were undergoing HVAC updates, and here what happened was they started up a blower that hadn't been started since 2012 when the system was installed. So that created a bunch of oil going off and created a bunch of smoke, but it didn't do any damage to the location. We continue to have several natural gas calls. It's a good and bad thing. We're glad residents are calling in for this. As mentioned, you know, the tragedy down in Virginia, so in Plum Borough in the past, we take these seriously. So thank you for the residents who do call in for this. We have some good news on the membership front. We have 32 active firefighters. In last meeting, we had 2 applicants apply for membership. They're up for approval in March. One applicant is a female firefighter. We haven't had a female firefighter on our roster for almost 20 years when a former member's daughter was on here, so we're happy to see that.
Stacy Steiger.
Yes. And then also, I'd like to thank Mrs. Depew and Mr. Lucetti for coming to the meeting. I hope you learned a lot from it, so I'm grateful, and we hope we can have representation from the mayor and council. I know, Mayor, you had a
I
conflict, so.
did.
Yeah.
I was at the airport.
Yeah, I know.
Trying to go in, and
Yeah.
as Tristan said, it's almost over. I said, okay, well, I won't bother that. But I did try. I want to get through security and at the gate.
Yep. Well, we appreciate the support. We did complete, even though we had the little minor fire up our station, the $33,000 HVAC improvement. This would last for years. We've also found out that the system originally was not properly installed from it, so one of our members took it upon himself to fully investigate it. And what happened was, when the heater would come on, for some reason the air conditioning would come on because it was getting too hot from the heater running. So we identified that defect and worked with the HVAC repairman and corrected it. It should also make the drastic improvements for energy savings, so it will help us all out. We will receive better returns on our investments. We've moved them around. We were getting like 0.05% like everybody else was the past couple of years. And we moved to a couple different institutions. We're getting 4.5 and 5% on our returns. Something to share, if you have an elderly relative or even yourself, check your interest rates on your bank accounts. I took my mother's money out of her bank. She was getting 0.5 and she's getting 4.5. So people aren't paying attention to that. So that's something you could do. We also have switched our insurance providers to save over $6,000 annually on our business, property, and vehicle insurance. Insurance is our largest annual expense with a $21,000 cost. So it was going to cost us $27,000 this year. Now it's going to cost $21,000 for it. And then, the SCBA bottles that the borough provided with us, they should be received shortly and put into service. And as I told Mr. Lucetti, we're trying to work to get a FEMA grant to replace our aging 15-year-old SCBA units. The bottles are going to be replaced because they expire April this year, but the units are still 15 years old, so we need to eventually replace them. And that's all. Were there any questions from the council?
Any
Mayor?
questions from
Yeah.
Mr. Brown?
Thank you, that was very
Good
good report.
Thank you.
All right, except for a special announcement at the end of the meeting, I will conclude my report. At the end.
Oh, that's at the end. Okay, thank you, Mayor. Solicitors report, Mr. Furman.
Thank you, I do not have a report.
That's always good. Engineers report, Mr. Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam President. We do have a few things to go over with you this evening. In our report dated February 16th, on page 2, Overlook Park, just to make council aware that Ramsey and Caliber Contracting have excavated the footers for the concession restroom building. The footers were poured this morning. Block work is scheduled to start next week. Form work for the set of concrete stairs is underway. Caliber Contracting submitted their second pay application. We reviewed that application and recommend payment contingent upon receiving the building material disposal receipts, of which we did this afternoon. So the recommended motion is to approve pay application number 2 in the amount of $89,758.34 for the Overlook Park improvements to Caliber Contracting Services Incorporated.
Your motion?
Sure, questions though.
Sure.
The disposal of the building materials, was that, part of, for what we owe almost $90K here, or was that a special, separate fee that we will have to also?
No, that's part of the
Incur
89, part of the
Okay.
89,000.
Okay. Yeah, and, I presume this entails the concession stand and the stair demolition, or is this just the concession stand?
Concession stand building materials.
Okay.
The wood, the shingles, the concrete work was
Yes.
disposed and crushed.
Yes, and the plumbing work there under.
Only the plumbing work that was in the building, the subsurface plumbing work has not been removed.
Yes, thank you for stating so, because I was kind of curious as to, whether or not we were able to line up the new structure to take advantage of that plumbing.
As part of the contract, the plumbing will be replaced.
will be completely replaced?
Correct.
Okay.
The water service and the sanitary service.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions from Mr. Vice Consul?
I'll move to approve pay application number 2.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
On page 3, under
Okay,
the,
well, that's
I'm sorry,
unanimous vote. Thank you.
sorry.
Abstain.
On,
Oh, okay, so it's 6 and 1 abstaining.
I abstain.
Yes, that's, well, you have to state a reason for it, it's not, you can't, you have,
I'm abstaining on the grounds that we do not have a finance director at this time.
All right. So we have a vote of 6 and 1 abstain. Motion passes.
On page 3, for the pool construction, just to make you aware, Nicholson has been addressing the remaining items and providing closeout documents. We did receive all of the closeout documents from East West Manufacturing Supply Company Incorporated. They also submitted for their retainage, the final pay application, their 2-year maintenance bond, release of liens, consent of surety for final payment. The application is in order and the supporting documents are in order. We recommend final payment. Recommended motion is to approve pay application number 3 and final in the amount of $5,217.50 for the Whitehall Pool Improvement Contract number 4, mechanical construction to East West Manufacturing and Supply Company Incorporated.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's made in second.
I abstain.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any reason for abstaining?
Abstaining on the grounds that, this is for, the pool, and it's really still unclear to me as to what the external punch list did in fact entail.
There is no punch list associated with the work completed by East West Manufacturing Supply.
And can you please expand more on the scope for the $5,217.50?
Retainage.
Retainage?
It's the retainage. We withhold the percentage of the contract until we receive all of the closeout documents.
Okay, I think that it ought to be the other way around, so, I'm abstaining on the grounds that we should have had the closeout documents available to us in council.
We have the closeout documents. We were releasing the monies that we were withholding for those closeout documents. We have all of the final paperwork in our possession.
Okay.
Okay. So our vote is 6, 1 abstain.
Yeah,
All
still
right,
on the
motion
same.
passes. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Westminster?
Yes, under item 12, the pavement maintenance program, we did add the bidding dates to the report. The bid opening is slated for April the 10th, with the potential award date on April 17th.
Okay.
And the last final item to make council aware, under item 16 on page 4, Wayman Run emergency sewer repair. We identified a section of sewer near the recent Columbia Gas installation, just south of the storage facility. Essentially, it appears to be that the top of the pipe has been damaged, allowing stream water to enter the pipe. So we have had that sewer televised and are coordinating with Columbia Gas, as well as our repair contractors the borough's repair contractors to have repairs made there. So I will keep you posted as far as the emergency permitting and the ongoing work with Columbia Gas.
Thank you. Any questions?
I do, I'm sorry, Mr. Rosmazo.
Mhm.
Do we suspect that it was Columbia Gas that would have
It's
damaged?
what it appears.
Okay.
It appears that the pipe was damaged when they were completing the restoration and removing of the timber mat bridge.
Will this be something we're able to go back to them to have
That's
them
correct.
do?
That's what we
Alright,
are working
perfect.
toward.
Any other questions for Mr. Westman?
I just have a comment on that. I am aware of, some sort of, state requirement to return as good whenever utilities do work, and that it is indeed on the responsibility of the utilities. Thank you for your hard work on that. Could you, email a copy?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for having that handy, Scott, prepared.
It's the borough's records. I'm handing them off.
Okay, so, you're done with your report?
That's all I have this evening.
Thank you. And now manager, Ms. Sparks.
Okay, Ms. Book. On my report this evening, is the purge resolution, which has been on public display for 2 weeks now. And I asked that council read it in its summary form, or ask for a motion to read it in its summary form, and then a motion to adopt.
Ms. Woods, before, can I just make a note that there were a couple of, right-to-know requests where items that
Came in
were
today.
potentially requested may be on the list. Those items would not be purged until the right-to-know requests were formally resolved.
Safeguarded, so they won't be. Well, you're, a motion to read the second.
I would like to, before that happens, to submit my own right to know request for absolutely all of the documents in the purge list to be submitted at this time in the public view for everyone to Ms. Wards as the, only one who has the standard right to know request form authority and the order of this borough.
The right-to-know request is a process. There's a form that has to be filled out and submitted to the right-to-know officer.
Yes,
Are you submitting a form to the right-to-know officer?
yes, it is completed and right here and right now.
I guess you have to deliver it, then pass it on. And
Okay.
you just
I
hand
will
it, you
deliver
don't have to get up and
right
just,
now.
like, you just pass it over.
That's fine. Thank you.
Live for review it, so yeah, we can make a motion. I think my recommendation would be to table this until we can do it. So that's good.
All right.
Do you want to withdraw your motion? Somebody made a second, I think. No, we didn't get that far. Is there a motion?
I think Lee seconded my
I withdraw my second.
Okay. Make a motion, who wants to make a motion to table?
I'll make the motion to table.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, so I'm opposed. So let's do let's do a roll call, please, Ms. Sparks.
Ms. Book,
No.
Mrs. DePew,
No.
Mrs. Eicher,
Yes.
Mr. Lucetti,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Soborowski,
Yes.
Mr. D.
Okay. Motion carries to, table 4-3.
Quick announcement on, the new the new recycle sorters. Waste Management has informed, the staff that delivery is tentatively slated for Thursday, March 21st to Tuesday, March 26th. No deliveries will occur on Sunday, and as additional information is received, we will be sharing that with the community via our website, our email newsletters, and our various social media accounts. So pencil those dates in. Next up, I have received the engineering proposal from Gateway Engineers for the 2024 road program. I asked the council to approve the proposal for services in the amount of $38,000, which is the same as the 2023 costs.
I hear a motion. So moved.
Second.
I object, on the grounds that, this really should have been a matter of public works, Ms. Wertz. And I had emailed you today, concerning, being able to interact with, the Public Works manager as the Public Works chair. All I expected was an answer of yes, okay. And this was over email. This was not at all interruptive to his daily cycle, and as the Public Works chair, I do have the right to have the oversight of this committee, especially since there are no citizen members of this committee. I don't understand why it was too complicated to, allow me to have that discussion, especially since the only place I am allowed to, discuss things with, Gateway Engineering, is within this meeting, within this space, and within this time.
Ms. Iker, you know, we have daily running of operations in each department, and we talked to this ad nauseam here. That's why we have a borough manager who daily gets updates from each department. If you have a question, you ask her. Mr. Harris had all that information he already sent. He was part of the planning of that information. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You're certainly allowed to ask questions, but you know.
Why was it so terrible to hear it from him? Especially
He
since
doesn't
we
have time
have.
to keep responding to you every day.
Oh, I
So,
think
that's
that
why I'm
the
answering your
people
question.
have, the people have elected me to be accountable for
And
all
not to
of
be
these bills,
Overburdening
especially.
every day, the
I
operations.
I don't think a simple email that would have
It's never
sufficed
simple.
with an answer of yes or okay or
That never seems to
no.
suffice for you though.
Hey,
Mayor, did
look.
you wanna say
Yeah, I
something,
think the
Mayor?
answer is if every single Tristan picked up the phone and he called Eric, Kathy picked up the phone, she called Lacey all the way down, they would never get any work done. That's why we have a borough manager.
Okay, we're
That's
gonna.
why we have a
That's
borough manager.
completely unnecessary, that's
Well,
completely
okay,
we're
unnecessary
gonna move on.
and disrespectful to my office.
Okay, we're gonna make a motion here. We have.
Wait, I have a question, I have a question, I have a
I have a motion and a second.
Can I ask a question for the audience? What does Farrell Finch, what their name?
They
what
don't
service-
answer to
What's
her.
that?
They
What
answer
services
to a
do they-
manager.
Who's Farrell
They
Finch?
have a manager. They don't answer directly to elected officials.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the
I'm asking about
Well, that's the next one.
That's the only representative,
But,
ma'am,
yeah,
me,
we're on the road program right
me,
now.
I'm the only one who
Okay.
cares about public works.
Okay, so we're going to, we already have a
No, you're
motion.
chair.
We have
I
a
am the
motion
chair
and a
of the public
second.
works.
Okay, we gotta move
And,
on here.
this
Please.
is-
Motion
Excuse me,
and a
at the point
second.
of order, you
No,
have to shut
we are-
down my
No,
discussion
we
by
already
voting
discussed
on
it.
it. Can everybody vote on
Okay,
whether or
we'll
not we
shut
need
down
to
this
shut down
discussion. Do we hear a
discussion?
motion to shut down this discussion?
I move we shut down the discussion
And a
and move
second.
on to the vote.
We hear a motion, shut down this discussion.
second.
Second, thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
I oppose, just because I had the question of,
That's the next, you were talking about the next, okay, so we're gonna move on here, folks. Okay, so, we have the vote to approve the Gateway Engineers 2024
Mr.
program.
Furman, is the motion by Mrs. Sapir and the second by Mrs. Thomas still?
Yeah, they're still pending.
Okay.
Yeah, that was, debate happened,
Yeah.
and then there was a motion to close, to end the debate, it ended. You still have
Right.
the original motion and second
Is
that's
to
still
approve.
pending, to approve the Gateway Engineering.
Yes.
The 2024 program.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimous. The next, Ms. Wertz.
Thank you. Last on my report, is the previous finance director is no longer with the borough. We did engage a third-party, professional, last week to, assist, Ms. Regala and myself in processing bills and payroll. So I asked that council ratify the master service agreement with Farrell Finch, for work performed the week of February 12th.
So moved.
Motion's made in second, all in favor, say aye.
I object on the notion that this was not discussed in a public meeting regarding the fact that we do not have a finance director until tonight. And I also object on the fact that there was not an administrative public meeting to discuss how to handle this, that only one person and one person alone, again, has the authority to decide which contractor to not go with. So, here we are, it's, $95 an hour, people, for, the retention of the services of an accountant or bookkeeper at the direction of Ms. Wertz.
That's right, and at the
That's right.
approval of council, because we have to have the borough continue to operate, and they're going 12 hours a day, the staff, to assist, and
Mhm.
other folks in the department. So yes, we can't wait for for all this nausea in your committees to talk about in a month from now. That's not how it works, and we have to move
Oh,
on.
well, excuse me, anytime I try to have a committee, I can't have a committee, but, other people can have committees and talk to staff, but me, no.
Okay. So,
There's a motion and a second on the floor.
okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Yeah, I would've liked to see a little bit more, participation from council members on this decision, but that's fine. So,
Okay.
I vote no.
Alrighty, so,
It'll still pass.
so the, motion passes,
No.
5-2. Thank you.
That's all that I have.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wertz.
Let me make a comment, just for the public. The borough a long time ago decided that they didn't want politics in the hiring. And so they put it upon the borough manager to make the hires. So when people get hired, they get hired through the borough manager, and then, it's reported to council. And again, that's to prevent politics from happening in Whitehall Borough. We run professionally, that's how we operate, and hopefully the Borough of Whitehall appreciates it. We don't have problems, we've never had. And now, problems are finding their way in.
I agree.
Okay,
All
all
right.
right, thank you, Mayor. So, our assistant manager, Alyssa, is out pretty sick today, so we wish her the best. I thank Hannah for stepping up, and of course, Ms. Wertz doubling time for a long time, so it's much appreciated by the borough and the residents. Okay, committee reports, public safety, Mr. V?
Yes, Mrs. President, the big thing I'd like to say is, I'm so excited we're moving forward with our target. They have done an unbelievable job, very professional, just glad we can report on that.
Yes.
And, I don't know, I don't have anything, other than that, since it's something that I,
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Tristan.
I will speak on behalf of Mr. Pugh.
Thank you.
Chief reports last year's United Auto Workers strike caused production delays with the 2025 Ford Police Interceptors. We received confirmation on February 8th that our 2 marked units are slated for production. We anticipate the fully outfitted police vehicles may not hit the streets until early fall. Also, Deputy Chief Gable has reported all streetlights in need of repairs to Duquesne Light. The Police Communications Center now has access to the Duquesne Light online repair portal, which should bring faster turnaround times for maintenance issues. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Lucetti?
thanks, Justin, appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, and next is, planning and zoning, or administration
No report.
services, okay. Right, I'll skip that one for a moment, thank you. Okay, planning and zoning, Mr. Lucetti.
Yes, first thing to note is Planning and Zoning Committee met on February 8th to discuss applicants for the currently vacant Planning Commission board seat. The committee decided to solicit questions from the current members and to send those questions to the applicants to better gauge their interests and qualifications. The Planning and Zoning Committee will meet on March 14th at 5 p.m. to discuss the responses and take the next steps towards appointing a new committee member. And then also, as noted on the agenda, Mr. Bellet has items to provide. Excuse me.
Thank you. First item is a motion to approve, 2024 SLD 01 Grove Point Phase 2 Ninth Amendment subdivision plan. The applicant requests approval for subdivision of lot 27 of the Grove Point Phase 2 residential land development to establish property lines along party walls of 3 townhouse units under construction. At last week's planning commission meeting, the planning commission recommended, conditional approval of this application. The recommendation letter is attached to, the memorandum dated February 16, 2024. Staff recommends council grant approval of this subdivision plan application subject to the following conditions: that the applicant shall address all outstanding issues referenced in the borough engineer's review letters dated January 30th, 2024 and February 2nd, 2024 in a manner acceptable to the borough engineer. Any additional issues raised by the borough engineer shall be resolved to the satisfaction of the borough engineer. Borough Director of Planning, Zoning, and Code Enforcement Review Memorandum. The applicant shall address all outstanding issues referenced
in the Borough Director of Planning, Zoning, and Code Enforcement memorandum dated February 9th, 2023, in a manner acceptable to the Planning Director. Any additional issues raised by the Planning Director shall be resolved to the satisfaction of the Planning Director, and that the applicant shall agree to pay all professional review fees of the Borough in connection with this application and approval. And that is the recommendation from staff.
So moved.
Okay, do we hear a motion?
The actual motions as written on the agenda, correct?
Correct.
So someone needs to make that motion.
Okay.
So moved.
So,
Wants
so
to be
it's
read.
it's a motion to approve 2024 SLD 01 Grove Point Phase 2 Ninth Amendment Subdivision Plan, application 273-277, Chesney Drive, subject to the conditions of the Director of Planning, Zoning, and Code Enforcement's memorandum dated February 16, 2024.
Okay, so you made a motion?
So moved.
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is unanimous. Thank you.
The second item under planning and zoning is to place a resolution for plan revision for a new land development for a DEP planning module for Clean Express Auto Wash, 2929 Clarendon Boulevard, on public display. You have a copy of the resolution provided by DL Companies, the consultant for the Clean Express Auto Wash. As you may have noticed, if you've been on 51, that construction has started on the project, which was approved in late 2020.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second? Anyone have a second?
A second.
Okay, motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, vote unanimous. Thank you.
The final motion under planning and zoning this evening is for council to forward the draft zoning ordinance dated February 14th, 2024, recommended by the Borough Planning Commission, revising section 180.92 fences of chapter 180 of the Borough Code of Ordinances and zoning to the Borough Solicitor for review. The Planning Commission at last week's meeting finished its work and recommended the draft which you have in your packet this evening.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion's unanimous. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Gillette?
I have nothing else to say.
Okay. Any questions for Scott?
Not that, it changes my vote in anything, but was there, I suppose with the DEP, there was some, understanding of where all the wastewater is going to run for, this car wash, because we all know that it can't go into the storm.
Well, first of all, the car wash is recycling and collecting the water used to wash cars.
Oh, that's beautiful, yeah, I like that, that's super green.
And this deals with the septic.
Yeah,
I mean,
It deals with the sanitary sewer.
Thank you.
yes,
There's a change
yes,
in line.
fantastic, yes, as it ought, fantastic, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah,
It's
that-
exciting to finally have a business operating in that property again.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Next report is the library. Ms. Thomas.
Yes, hi, we have Christy Kuhn from the library board here with us to give our report. Thank you. Hello from the library. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having us. I have 5 updates from the library to share, so bear with me for a moment. Lots of positive things happening. So it's tax assistance season at the library, and that is a very busy time for all the library workers. Thank you to the borough for allowing us extra space to be able to complete this service for everybody. That we have received over 145 members of the community who've come in and asked for assistance. Most, if not all of them, are senior citizens. ARC has recruited additional preparers to help this year, and this goes through the first week of April. And also a kudos to the library staff for being really patient with all of the extra phone calls and traffic coming into the building. So they are doing a fantastic job. Next update is on the Little Free Libraries project that you may have heard about before. So Paula has purchased the libraries, and she has identified an Eagle Scout who may be able to help manage a book drive to get them, up and going. And then our hope is that it will be a community-driven project that will be run by volunteers within the community to maintain those little libraries. Paula also submitted a mini grant on behalf of the Whitehall Borough Historical Society to purchase a desktop scanner and archival storage boxes, so that's cool. We submitted information from Baldwin Whitehall School District to create over 600 new library cards for the incoming students for this year's 23-24 students, and those cards will be processed and distributed in the spring. And finally, WQED's Education Department is partnering with the library for the Future Jobs Luncheon for female students in the STEM area, which will happen in April. QED is they do a lot of work in career development and future readiness. So, and they are hoping that we will have some involvement from Borough administration and women on our board. And those are our updates.
Well, thank you. Do seniors have to make appointments for the tax assistance?
Yes.
I think they do. Okay, good to know. Pass it on. Thank you very much for your report. Anything else, Ms. Thomas?
Not library related, but just like to report for the community that Mr. Lucetti and myself attended a training this past weekend. I know Mrs. Eicher attended a few weekends ago for new council member training, something that was put on by PSAB. 2 full days of training, really informative and really helps to give us our parameters and guidance, not only for our positions, but all of the other positions within the borough community and things like that. So really interesting, really excited to have been able to attend and learned a lot.
Good,
Learned a lot.
this is
So,
valuable.
yeah, really appreciated that opportunity, so.
Thank you. Hey, recreation, Mr. Shibrowski.
Yeah, I actually attended my first, recreation meeting, and I couldn't be happier. Everybody on this committee is focused on pleasing the residents. It was amazing. They're moving in a great direction. Hannah is so sharp. Any questions she was asked, she knew immediately. They were welcoming, especially Norm. If any of you know Norm, he's a great guy. He welcomed me with open arms. And then Hannah definitely has some stuff to report, but I had to say it couldn't have been any happier. Thank you, and I'll be at every meeting.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming. I just have a small report because, as you know, I have been assisting Ms. Wertz and Ms. Regala with day-to-day operations in the borough building so that they can handle some finance stuff and we can still operate day-to-day. That being said, I only have 2 things. Our comedy show was this past weekend. It went off the flying colors. People already are booking more tables for next year, so I don't even know if we can find a bigger venue.
Can't advertise it, it's already booked.
Yes, I don't even advertise it anymore. Those numbers will come into play at the March 6th meeting, so I will have those for you. The only other thing I have is our Kids of Steel March 2nd is coming up. We do have people from the Pittsburgh Marathon coming to coach our kids for that one. So they are really excited. And it's free to anyone. Kiddos can be as young as 3 years old. We have little siblings that come and run with their siblings. So that is at Baldwin High School at 9 a.m. On March 2nd. That's all I have.
But Hannah, I have to say, that comedy show night was the best ever.
Thank you.
They're all good. They get better every year. I laughed so hard. I love that ventriloquist guy at the end. And they were all good though, and the food's great there at Salvatore's, but if you weren't there, folks, you missed out. So I don't know if you can sign up, but you can try for next year. Thank you. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I just have one more thing, regarding the pool and Baldwin residents, Adult Swim. can we do some sort of recreation meeting open to the public, you know, announce it and get public input on what they'd like to see this year, with the swimming pool?
So, we did put out a survey to Whitehall residents last year. That included, multiple questions. I have all the results if you would like to see that. Are you speaking towards, like actual Baldwin residents or Baldwin Township that we allow?
No, well, Baldwin Borough, they're gonna be, they don't have a pool this year, right?
Right, and they're gonna be, in agreement with Brentwood.
Yeah, so I wanted to get the public's opinion if we say, you know, hey, can you under limited circumstances, you could come in also, or I just want Whitehall's, the residents of Whitehall to weigh in on this, adults, you know, and everything, you know, I just want it to be a, like a kicking off, you know, kicking off the new year with.
Why have a council if we're going to invite residents to
Well,
do everything?
Don't you think it would be very nice to have, I mean, we have a recreation board, if the recreation board listens to the residents, and that might help
To be
the
honest,
trajectory
at this
of their
point, I
opinions and
don't,
stuff.
because we don't know what's gonna happen with, how many people are gonna go to the pool this year. We haven't been open for a whole year, and I think we need to find out how we can handle it before we start opening up to everybody. Maybe 2 years from now, yes, we can say that. But I just think we need to get one summer under our belts for the full season, see who's coming. There's all these tons of programs going on. Are we gonna have enough help?
Or enough
just think
space.
It's too early
Enough
to talk
space
about.
to be, you know, actual, just the very basic,
Our
you know, so.
capacity is 702.
702 for the swimming pool?
Yes, and with Whitehall residents only, we were very close to that last year.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't see why we can't say, you know, Whitehall residents could reserve first, and then, you know, if there's any left over in that 702, a Baldwin resident could come in as
It would
well.
be
you know.
the 702 is daily.
Right,
Um,
so if you reserve in the morning or something like that, or, you know, I don't, that's what the public meeting would be nice to have, to see what everybody wants. My opinion doesn't really matter, cause I'm one of 16,000 residents, so I'd like to know what the other 16,000 residents think
Yeah,
about
I
it.
just don't think it'd be practical to even try that. Why don't we see how it works out for a year? because it
This
hasn't
is a
been-
special year though. It's a
Right.
special year because, Baldwin Borough does not have a pool.
Yes, right.
And,
keep our pools
I was a
open.
member of both Baldwin Borough's pool and Whitehall Borough's pool last year. And, I can tell you this, that I had never seen more than a dozen people in that pool other than their community day, where it was a free-for-all. I don't think that there is, in fact, the demand that you anticipate, and I think that this could be a, revenue generator, honestly, for, our pool, considering the fact that, we can most definitely charge more. We could say, only after 5. We have to require a phone number for the pool, so people can call ahead to see if it's available. We could consider it to be only open to kids who are also from Baldwin Borough, who also registered for the camp, as they do, and they pay.
I think we just need to be practical and see how it plays out for our Whitehall residents to enjoy the pool and everything we've gone through to get it to the point it's at, so I'm not in favor of that. Council members are gonna move on. Well, that would be other portion of Cypher.
Yes, my ability to, report on public works is quite limited, considering that I did not get the agenda until, yesterday afternoon, so I did not have much opportunity to prepare a, questionnaire that I must submit to the borough manager and to the borough manager alone, instead of the public works director. I don't understand this, considering that, borough council people who had sat in this particular seat did not have this restriction. And I am, participating and doing so, even though I don't see any sort of legal precedent for binding my hands in this matter, I just needed the public to know that there is no citizens' participation in public works. There is absolutely, nothing but what can go through Ms. Wertz. So, Ms. Wertz informed me, and the rest of the council earlier on that, the salt prices would be decreasing. Can you please clarify that, Ms. Wertz?
I did send an email, forwarded it on from Shade Call to, the members of council. I believe the mayor might have been copied on it. The borough participates in a joint rock salt bid, through Shade Call. Part of that provision, or part of that contract allows for a fuel price adjustment. So based on various calculations, there will be a 53-cent per ton decrease in the price of rock salt for the month of December. So effective February 16th, the price is now $84.25 per ton.
Has there been any, new orders of salt since the last pay app, the last bill list, excuse me?
Last bill list?
Yes, the last bill list was, 2 weeks ago. So that would be February 7th was the last bill list.
I believe so, but I can't confirm that without speaking to Mr. Harris.
Okay, well, it would've been nice if I could have spoken to Mr. Harris about that. Okay, so, we did have a snowfall event. This is something I can report because I have eyeballs, and I am also a citizen of this borough, and that, a considerable amount of salt was thrown, and I couldn't possibly be more pleased with the performance of Mr. Harris and his road crew. I also, want to say that, my email exchange with, Ms. Wertz concerning, was concerning the road list in the engineering report. It's indeed, attached to the agenda for this meeting, so it is now a matter of public record, and, I do understand that it was a collaboration with, Mr. Harris and the rest of his crew, and, Gateway Engineering. I can't verify it because I'm not allowed to call Mr. Harris. But with that in mind, that there continues to be a budget of $0.00 for public works to go ahead and resurface the roads. Why? Because even the little potholes and whatnot are in fact taken care of by public works, and they just continue to be a part of what seems to get spent in the bill list. So some historical things to take into consideration. From 2021, there was $22,000 and some change spent on resurfacing from Public Works, and $37,000 is spent in 2022 from Public Works, and I still don't have a current bill list, and nobody does until we get a finance director, I suppose. So, we don't, know whether or not, we've actually spent anything. Maybe not, we'll see, because, we don't resurface roads in winter, hopefully, anyhow. But, what we do have is a vendor that this borough has enjoyed a great long-standing relationship, which is Gateway Engineers, and they have decided that, this is, the list as it entails. I personally drove around.
Excuse me.
Yes.
We don't determine that list. That's provided by the Public Works.
Okay, thank you for saying
We
that.
don't pick and choose the streets.
Thank you
Never
for
have.
saying that. Thank you for saying that.
It's all
Thank you.
professional, it's not
Yes,
political.
thank you. Thank you for saying that, this is what is part of the proposal, excuse me. is, Nürnberger Drive. I'm not certain how far that encroaches onto the Baldwin Borough Road, because I'm not really sure, because I don't have access to the full GIS maps and the licenses thereof to make sure that it would go to, the addresses of 160 and 166 of Nürnberger Drive, but I do agree that is a road that is in need of serious TLC, but it's just a matter of where we can go. As far as where exactly is the borough line. Everything else, I feel to be in agreement with the base bid. Indeed, we had spoke briefly before this meeting concerning perhaps even thinking about extending the work on Frank Street, but you might not be able to do that and work around and not paint yourself into the corner. Thank you, Scott, for that commentary. But we do have some road alternates that I drove in by. Woody Crest, absolutely. I would have liked to see Irvsdale too, but I understand that's a dead end road and otherwise difficult to get to. But I'm not really clear what the issue is with West Barland or West Longview.
I can speak to that.
Yeah, please. I'd like to
speak to that
hear
too.
from all the residents on the board.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Cool.
please.
Oh yeah, I was just say every time that the winter comes, there's like a 2-inch, the road whenever it contracts, it's like 2 inches up on certain parts, and just on the curbs, just on the sides, they're always patching that multiple times a year. I twist my ankle multiple times just walking down there, just walking my dog every day.
Yeah.
So
Wait, let me
Yeah.
add.
The better way.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
walk every day in that neighborhood, and where the road gets to the curb, it's all breaking down.
wants a feather
All
in her hat.
breaking down, going around it. So I walk in the middle, I go in the street to avoid those cracks. So it
Yes,
does
definitely.
need work.
I noticed perhaps it was a little bit different with the grading around some of the storm sewers back there. Is that perhaps part of the concern? That the
No, just the
grading
road's
around?
falling.
Oh, okay, all right.
Sides,
Okay.
and it just gets worse and worse. And when it gets patched after the next big rain,
Yeah,
it'll be down-
I did
it'll
notice
be
a
down on
big
top of the storm
patch.
drains, yeah.
I did notice a big patch there.
Yeah, so it's working.
Okay, well, hopefully we will be able to get to the alternates as well, pending how much asphalt, costs, but, yeah, I will continue to cheer very much for, our guys in the public works, despite the fact that I cannot speak to Mr. Harris. Okay, there will be a public works meeting to discuss trash in the park on, February the 25th here at 5 p.m. I am inviting all of the public to attend because it is going to be a public meeting, and we're gonna have public meetings and public committee meetings. And this was something that's been on the borough calendar, for some time now, and it actually has been, announced in public, paper of public record. So, I'm pretty excited about, launching this, and, Ms. Dupuy, you said that you might be able to join and give some perspective? Fantastic, thank you so much, I really appreciate it. Mr. Beef, you're still gonna be traveling?
Yeah, I will be. I'm not able to attend.
Yeah, so I figured that, I should offer up, Mr. Dupuy, your seat, because it is a committee. If you're okay with that.
That's our goal.
Okay, fantastic. Mr. Lucetti, were you going to be able to make it for that? Okay, fantastic. And I invite anyone else to, attend as a matter of, the public. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. The Parks Committee report.
No report.
Okay, very good. Do we have any, new business?
Yes, we do. So, if you were holding off on pledging on the team that's representing Whitehall Borough in the polar plunge, because you are waiting for more support from the elected officials, wait no longer. Get your checkbooks out, get your PayPal accounts activated, because Linda Book, the president of council, and I will be jumping.
Mayor, why'd you make me do
The only
Great
two
cause,
months.
of course, Special Olympics, they need thousands of dollars for decades. Okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Any other new business?
Yes, well, this is something council has always done, but there was a recommendation in the PSAB, Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs magazine. And I would like to make a motion to authorize the solicitor to prepare an ordinance for consideration restricting borough employees, other than the borough manager, from speaking with council members without the authorization of the borough manager or by vote of the borough council, subject to certain exceptions.
And that's a motion to be put on the next, on the meeting agenda.
That's something that we have done, but it's never been formalized, and it's suggested now that in the PSA article that we do.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear a motion?
No, I have one other motion.
No.
You need a
You
second.
have to deal with that one first. There's a
Right.
motion.
We need
You
a
don't have a second.
I know.
I guess I'll second that.
Okay, a motion and a second.
Object
Put on
on the grounds that it directly is discriminating against me.
No, this is something that Ms. Pugh said, this is part of the PSAB suggestions that we've always followed, but now it's just never been memorialized, but.
Well, not only that, in the past, there have been council people that there have been problems.
Yes.
You gotta understand, we run lean and mean. You know, we have a very few administrative employees, very few public works employees. You know, they're working, they're doing their jobs. And so, you know, you can't have every council person picking up the phone and talking to our, you know, employees who are trying to get their jobs done. And again, we're not overstaffed. You can see, very few administrative
All the better
employees.
reason to not do this.
Okay.
All the better reason to not do this, especially since I have been respectfully waiting for statements and bills from the last bill list on the 7th, and that's been 2 weeks. So this is unacceptable. For me to be the one who's screened out, for me to be the only one who's not allowed to interface with the manager, in which is in part of my department. I'm staying in my lane. Which is public works. That is my lane.
And the manager is who you should ask anything, questions, I mean, that's how we all operate, like we said many times during many discussions. That's how we run smoothly, so that's, you know, you're taking it personal, but this is part of what we've always practiced, there's our discussions, and we've always said that.
That's absolutely
Okay,
false,
well,
because
it's not
other
false.
council members have been able to interact with public works.
Well, this
There
is
is
this council
zero-
now.
There
So
is,
this is
there is zero, citizen participation in, Public Works Committee.
Okay, well,
So,
you're having a good committee meeting next week, so that'll be.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, Bethlen?
yeah, sure.
I hear that you're really upset and that you wanna have more communication. What are you trying to understand on the daily basis? What more information are you looking for that you feel like you're not?
I need to be able to make this report with confidence that you have the ability to speak with the library board and the library director at your committee meeting. And other department chairs are able to do the same. But me, all of a sudden, and just now, no.
No, this is not just now, this is the way we have operated, this is just formalizing.
Well, and just to follow up, when you said Lacey can talk to the library, well, I guess the library director is there, but it's the library board that's there. You know, for recreation, for Stone, it's the recreation board that's there, it's not, you know, individual employees.
Yes, but,
Okay.
Hannah, you're at the recreation committee meeting, so you can have that time with Stone. I need some time, give me a little box to sit in and have some time with Eric. Apparently, it's not by email, even by CCing you, Ms. Wards, that is apparently not acceptable all of a sudden for just me and just me alone. So, tell me what my rules are, and I will comply with your rules, because apparently you are the only one who has the authority to do this.
To be clear, your email request to Mr. Harris was about a function that was not related to his job. It was not appropriate for him to respond to your question to inform the voting.
Excuse me, Mr. Russell did in fact confirm that these discussions did indeed happen with Public Works input. So therefore, why is it that I'm not allowed to have that confirmation? I just wanted that confirmation. Why was that completely and totally unreasonable?
We were given that confirmation, and we've had multiple people have had multiple conversations with you describing how involved Public Works director and employees were in formulating the road program list. As Mr. Russmeister stated, that information comes from the borough.
That was just last council meeting that was stating. It's not like this was elaborated to me. I just wanted to hear it from him. Why was that so hard? Because quite honestly, I have the time to do all of this, but I really am very much feeling very frustrated that me and only me am not allowed to speak to the staff.
That's right, and the whole point is, what you know, we talked about numerous times together, and as a group, that there's no board members with Public Works. And the only time Public Works had a committee called, which in truth, I can't remember the last time it was that there was an issue that had to be brought up, which you're doing with this group here, at your committee. But there's no board meeting that's regularly held to be discussed, and he's so busy, he's with the Public Works Director, and he's also hands-on, he doesn't need to be answering questions that Ms. Wertz gets those answers and reports daily, as she does from all the heads.
Well, I
don't know
honestly
why
did
you're
not
taking it.
have, I did not have the time to email the questions in advance, because I wasn't given the agenda in ample time.
Everyone had the agenda, everyone had
In
this.
ample time.
Yeah, I don't know what your ample time is, but okay, but you had it timely. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to put Mrs. Depue's motion on the agenda for the next meeting. So here, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
I oppose,
Okay.
and the reason being is, whenever I was on planning and zoning, board, I had a lot of questions. I didn't know, like, for example, a lot of people wouldn't know what DEP is, Department of, whatever. Perfect, yes, exactly. See, how many times have I called you not a ton of times, but I asked you, some questions, right, Scott? And I don't think it was burdensome of, somebody that's supposed to be representing that department to, receive a phone call from time to time about said
Time
department.
to time is one thing.
Okay.
But, okay, so we have.
Excuse me, how many times have I called Eric Harris? 4.
Numerous times,
Four.
well, other events occurred, but we're gonna
Four.
move on with the vote.
4.
So, all in favor said aye.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
okay.
so it's passed 5-2, thank you.
Okay, I'd like to make one last, an emergency, no?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay,
Thank you,
okay,
that's all good.
okay.
Okay.
I will rescind all that. I'll let you all wonder,
All good. No new business?
I have
Okay.
one.
Uh-huh.
It was, remember a couple months ago, I didn't get through all my motions. One of them was a, borough issued email for each council, person.
A borough email, right?
A borough
All would
email.
be uniform.
Right,
Yes.
do you think we could do that?
Well, we
Rather
can
than
make a
using our
motion to put it
personal-
on the next
Yeah, you wanna-
agenda.
can we do that?
So you wanna phrase that properly then?
I motion every council member receive a borough issued email to receive email regarding borough business. I would also like these emails to be made public in the event a resident would like to reach out to us directly.
Okay. Now, that motion is for to be placed on the agenda
Placed
for the
on the
next
agenda.
meeting.
Correct.
All in favor, say, oh, I'm sorry, motion second?
I second.
Okay, motion's been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion's unanimous.
If I could add to that, I did bring that up after I came back from that meeting in West Conshohocken. And I also did check with the borough website. I think everyone's, Tristan, your email address is on there, Kathy, yours, I don't know why mine isn't, I give my email address freely. Lacey's is on there, Linda's is on there, and Bethlehem, yours is on there, Stone's, yours is not, and Bill Beats is not. And so, Courtney, you can put mine on, but at least the public would, can reach us in the interim until these, emails, formal email addresses, or email addresses that have Whitehall Borough in the email address are, determined.
And just to elaborate, these are going to be borough issued emails, not my personal email.
Right.
Right, cause I get work information from my personal email and it gets jumbled up and, I would like
Yeah.
it to be separated.
Oh, whitehallborough.org, whatever.
Correct, yeah, that would be
Yes.
great.
Yeah, that's appropriate. Okay.
Thank you. And then I have one more. It was brought up, whenever I had all those motions. It is, due to recent events, I would think it would be prudent that out of an abundance of caution, I motion we direct Maurer Drusel to perform our audit using the Gatsby accounting principles. Right. The more in-depth kind, the ones that, you have to get
That was already determined.
actuarial.
It was different, actually, it was a different motion, the motion that was made, that's actually a slightly different motion than what Mr. Soborowski made at that meeting, so it's a motion of something that we mentioned, it's different.
So what is this motion we're talking
It's a
about,
motion
to
to add,
clarify?
he's asking, I believe, that this was a motion to add to the agenda, this is, that's what we're going to phrase in the meeting.
Right.
And it's a motion, that the, borough direct Maurer Drusel, to perform an annual audit with the Gatsby FAR standards, GASB FAR standards. Instead of the PCB standards that was, but that's the motion.
That's this was discussed by the others. So it'd be $16,000, I believe more, is that, anybody remember? At least $16,000 more. And that's not to mention all the staff time that would be needed. I think, I don't recall, I'll have to go back to the meeting to see who asked the question whether it would make a difference. And she said that it did not. So Lacey, you asked the question, would it make a difference? And they answered, no, it would not make a difference. Many boroughs do not use those standards. What I think we should do is, go to change, if there's any cloud over this as to whether it's mandated or not, we should amend the homo charter so that we're not, restricted to a more expensive, we've always watched our money, and, I think that,
Respectfully, Mayor, well, we already had a vote on this in was it 1992?
It was 1993, and this was passed by referendum, which means this is what the public wanted, and I actually printed out copies.
the solicitor's already ruled, I
If
don't
you'd
know
like to-
how many times he has to state his opinion, but the solicitor has ruled that he does not mandate those standards.
Well, no one likes saving money more than me. I think, right? So, I think this is prudent. I think this is important. This is what the residents wanted, and I have, anybody that wants a copy of the home rule charter, the section I'm talking about, I have, a few, I don't have a ton, but, if they don't vote with it, that's fine.
I'd like to meet the resident who voted for the home rule charter because of the provision having to do with an audit.
Excuse me, in the home rule charter, you have to have a petition to even put it on as a referendum.
X
And
amount
you have to have a considerable amount of the electorate to sign that petition. Isn't it about like 10%?
Yeah, and the reason why the borough wanted home rule, by those leaders at that time wanted home rule, is so they would not be bound by the tax rates. So they could increase, we have a higher wage tax than our neighboring boroughs. And we have that so that we can balance wages with the people on fixed income and social security. If all we had was the real estate tax, it's just a burden on people that are on fixed income. When you get a raise in wages, you have more money to pay the taxes. When someone on a fixed income gets their taxes raised, they may or may not have the money to pay those taxes. That's why the borough did it. That's why they did it.
Okay, well, thanks for the explanation for the mayor, but we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second to put this on the agenda for the next meeting?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? No?
Nay.
I had a question though.
Okay, so-
For all that opposed, what was it? Did you say it was a $16,000 increase?
And the borough staff time, that they gave you more staff time.
As well as a
Motion
pension
carried.
And the statement from the auditors, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference. Why should we throw money away?
Correct.
What's not allowed to be put on the
Yeah.
agenda?
Okay, what's that?
What's not allowed to be put on the agenda?
What you just proposed, and we voted it down 5-2 to be put on the agenda for next meeting.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
So, any other new business? Otherwise, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion unanimous. Thanks, everyone, for coming.